What is going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to put a mini map in your game. This game is called Judgment. I made it about a couple months ago, and the link will be in the description, but basically you have to solve a mystery within a Catholic church. Pretty random, I know, but just something I came up with, and I thought the setting was cool. So what we're going to be adding today is a mini map of the cathedral that you're going to be in. So this is something that's fairly easy to do, but I think it adds a lot of value, and it could add some mystery to the game, and I'll show you kind of how I set that up. It's really simple, but you know, if the player can see that there's extra room or something that is on the map that maybe they can't really get to or whatever, it's something that could add some mystery to the game. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing you need to do is draw yourself a map. So I'm here in Sprite, and I'm going to show you how to get that image into your game. So as I said, this is pretty simple to do. So we'll go ahead and do File, Save As, and then I'm already in my Games folder, so I'll look for what's called Motor Mystery, which is supposed to be the first name of this game, but I totally changed it around. Go to Assets, Backgrounds, and ensure that you save it as a PNG file. So I'm going to name this map, so once we get to it in GBStudio, it's easy to figure out where it is. So of course, this is a kind of a crudely drawn map. I did use my 8-bit dough to use my quick keys, my hotkeys to make it. It took me about 15 minutes, but this is like a crude map of the church that we're going to be using. So we'll go ahead and hop back into GBStudio. And of course, the first thing we need to do is add that scene to the game. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So we just did a hotkey S, or you can do the plus scene. So we come over here and we want to look up our map. All right, cool, we got it. So you have your map, and what you want to do is for each room, we want to go ahead and set a variable. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to use a global variable, and I'm just going to really just call it map location. So that's just the simple command of set var to value. So I'll go ahead and do that now. All right, so I have set my variables for each room. So I can see I have 11 locations I want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I want to leave this question mark here for the unknown. So I have every variable set to 11. So you can see my last one, my map location, is set to 11. So all the work outside's done. So we did that on init of every room that we enter. So fairly simple there. So now we have our map work to do. And the first thing you want to do is hide your actor, or hide your player. So you don't want your player to show up, but you want something to show where your location is. So in other games, I've used like a transparent box or something like that. But I think for this one, we'll just use one of these arrows. Maybe, let's see what actor animated is. So I might set this to just bob up and down. Something like that. Let's see, idle down. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, it's not too bad. Good enough for this. So what that's going to do is that's going to move around based on where we're at. So we're just going to put a whole bunch of if statements into the scene. So actually, you know what? We will not hide the player because I just want him to hop around based on which room you're in. So we're just going to do a bunch of if var compare with value. So we're going to say if map location is equal to a certain number, set player or set actor. Let's see what it is here. I always forget this. Location. How about position? There we go. Set actor position. So we want to set actor position if this variable equals 1. We want the actor to be in this room. So we're going to go ahead and make that happen right here. So that's pretty good. It'll kind of bob up and down right there. So then we're going to copy this basically 10 more times. So if map location equals 2, we're going to put them in this left-hand room, I believe. Yep, map location equals 2. So we're just going to go through each room and do that. So we're going to set the location to over here. You know what? I'm actually going to try to lift it up a little bit so maybe the player can see where they're at. Try to give some detail for each room so they can kind of see where they're at. But I'm going to go ahead and go through that now. Knock it out. Okay, so we have all of our if statements set up. So once the player enters this scene, the arrow should move around based on which room you're in. So every time we enter a room, variable changes, and the player will see kind of which room they're in. So we do have one more thing, or basically two more things to do, is to attach button to a script that will send the player to this map. So that's really simple as well, and that can be done by using the stack function here in GBStudio. So let's cover that. So really you can copy and paste this multiple times, or you can make it a script and do call script. So we'll go through both of them because it's really pretty easy. But since we're reusing scripts, or since we're reusing the command, it could be used as a script. So for the first one, so I already have something attached to select, so I'm just gonna use start. So you can do attach script to button, start, override the default button action, doesn't matter here. So when they press start, we're going to use store current scene on stack. All right, so stack is basically just like something that comes over your scene, almost like a piece of paper. So we're telling GBStudio put this as your first piece of paper, and the next scene will be the next piece of paper. So really simply, we're going to change scene, and we're going to change scene to scene 54, which There may be multiple because I'm not that organized, but I'm going to name it map so we can get to it easily. So yeah, we're going to change scene to map at 0, 0, and then it should jump to your room once it realizes your variable. So the variable set here, and it will act accordingly once it gets into the map, or it should. So we're going to test it and see if it works. But the other way to do it is to create a script. So you can just call this script. We're actually gonna do something a little bit more informative. So I could just call it buttons/map. So you see that over here made a hierarchy for you, which is pretty useful. So that's something to know. If you do the slash, you can make a hierarchy for your script. But anyway, I'm just gonna replace that script. So now I have this script called basically map, or buttons map, and it has the same script in it. So what I'm gonna do is go through every room now, the other 10 rooms, and use the call script function to get to your map. So I'll show you guys how that works. So on initiation, we're going to, let's see, we're going to do insert event before. We're going to call script this time. And the only script we have is button/map. But that makes it simple. So every time you enter this room, this script will run for you. So as soon as you hit start, it will hop over to the map. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all the rooms. Alright guys, so I went ahead and pasted this all in. The thing you want to make sure about is make sure your map location is set before you're able to call the script. So make sure the number is ahead of your script for the button. So I'm going to go ahead and check that right now. Because if you don't, when you go to the other screen, it won't know where to go. So that one's good. Map location 10. Yep, that one's good. So this one needs to be fixed. So this just makes sure that the player cannot press the start button without having this variable set. Of course, you got to cue the player to know that they can use that maybe at the beginning. That one's good. Fixed. So my trusty police officer out here is like my tutorial guy, so he would probably be the one to tell the player to do that. That was good. Fixed. Let's do that right away. Good thing we checked this. Really, it all happens instantly, but for some reason the player somehow interacts with something right away. You just want to make sure that that's in that logical event. So you can check all these too. You can see that there's a change scene going to the map, which is good. Location 5, 4. Okay, I think we're good. Now the only other thing we need to do is within the map, we need to attach a restore script. So that's going to take you back to wherever you're at, which is nice because you don't have to make a million. You don't have to make a million events somehow, you know, doing like if-then statements on each section. You can just use this stack function to return back. So we only have a couple scenes in the stack, meaning 2. You have where you're at and where you're going. So you can use this for store first scene in the stack. And that's pretty much it. You'll go back to wherever you're at in the scene. So what we actually want to do instead of doing that like that is attach that to a button. The same button probably you used to get there. So we're going to do attach script to button, start once again in this, just in this scene, and we're going to do restore. All right, so now believe we've done all the nuts and bolts. Let's go ahead and see if it works. Go ahead and test to see if our map is working. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit enter. All right, nice. So we got the map, we got an arrow to the room that we're in, and the centered positioning is looking pretty good. So I'm gonna hit enter again, and it brings us back. So our stacks are working, our script is working, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and check the next room. All right, nice, it worked again. All right, so since you watched this far, I'll give you a little secret to the game. Requires you to pick the lock of the... It could require you to pick the lock of this room. So I'll go ahead and show you what the solution is. Oh, see. Try it again. Hit the wrong button there. All right. So this whole game really has to do with talking to different people. And you find out what's going on at this church, who stole something, who stole a sacred book. So a lot of the access and stuff to the rooms, you got to talk to everyone to get in. So let's see if our map's working. All right, nice. All right, let's see if this one's working. Okay, nice. All right, so like I said, we might not be able to get in each room right now because we kind of have to play through the whole game to get in it everywhere. All right, so the map seems to be working well. So the one thing I noticed is, since this is the player now, you can kind of do this with it, which is not something we want. So I'll show you guys how to fix that real quick. And we talked about it at the beginning, but I'll show you guys how to fix that. So once you go back to your map scene, that's where the hide player comes in. So the difference is, since you're the player, you could technically move that guy around. But if you make it another actor, you wouldn't be able to do that. So let's do hide. Hide actor, which is the player, and we're going to add a guy as another actor. Same one, right? But it's not the player. So now we need to go through and edit all these. Not a huge deal. But that's just if you want nice polish and keep your game real legitimate, right? Like when you opened it, you could tell where you were at. The player really has no reason to do that unless you want them to be able to pan over to other rooms. I do not want them to be able to do that. I just want them to be able to see the other room. So if you wanted them to be able to interact with the rooms, and maybe you could put triggers over each room. This is actually, you could do this as a top-down or a point-and-click, but you could either do triggers or something else that might tell them, what room they're going to want to go to, what the name of that room is. You would be able to do that there. So it's all up to you. It's all up to your game. I want to keep it where my actor stays in place and it just tells them which room they're in, because my whole deal with this game is not giving the player any information to go by. They have to figure it out for themselves. Alright, that should have fixed it. So we'll save that and restart. Let's see if it worked. Alright, so I'm using the arrow keys here and it's not moving my actor. So success. Like I said, I don't want the player to be able to move around the map to figure out what these rooms are. So that's just me. You guys can do it however you want with the information provided. So let me know if you're using this in your games. Let me know if you've done it a different way in the comments. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.